Hello and welcome to Quick Take TA here on Landy's Crypto Corner. Today is June 17th, 2024. We are just looking at Bitcoin today. We will follow up with altcoins and rune coins midweek this week. Now, Bitcoin did test down into this April of 2021 monthly swing high on Friday. We saw a push up over the weekend to the lower first standard deviation of the Bollinger Bands here on the daily at around 66,500. And it did fail to close above there, thus preserving the opportunity to go and test down towards its current lows and the lower second standard deviation, which we did see in Monday. So we saw a test up to the overhead high over here at 67,272. We had previously seen this area tested on Friday as well. Got another test on Monday. Test back down to the lows at $65,000, and Bitcoin is currently pushing down to $65,000 and slightly below right now. If Bitcoin does swing down below here again, we do have a $64,000 lower high prior to the uptrending structure here forming. This is coming in at $64,000. I would give this area a range down to the area that was needed to be closed above to set this higher low in place, and that was at $63,000. So that is currently where the lower third standard deviation is. Now, if Bitcoin is or does close below $65,000 and the lower second, we are looking at not just a test in terms of probability down to $67,000 or $64,000 rather. Sorry. But, maybe even if it's not on a wake basis, down to the $63,000 area. I do want to call this out that below the lower third here, there is a bit of a daily order block candle right around this October of 2021 monthly closing high. And this is roughly at around 62,500 on the top side of the close open over here to around this October of 2021 closing high area. We'll call it $61,000. It's just below the 61,350 here. If that area did not hold up or does not hold up if price gets there, we do need to keep an eye on this higher low structure. This was the first higher low of the uptrend after breaking out of this downtrending structure. Now that higher low was put in on the 15th of May. So it's been a little while that Bitcoin's been trading above it. If it starts to lose this area at around 60,800 on a close to 60,000 to 60,150 on a wick, then we are looking for price to run back to the March. This was a March closing high and a quarterly closing high from 2021. This is coming in at $58,800 to $59,000, depending on your exchange. Any price action below there, we're looking for this daily deviation below that monthly quarterly area from March of 2021. Now, this is only a daily deviation as it stands right now. If price did start to close back under there on the daily, then we're looking for that 58,250 to 300 area down to the current lows here at 56,500. Now, there is a possibility that Bitcoin, if it were to fail this structure here around the October of 21 monthly close and the March of 2021 monthly quarterly area, that this could become a deviation below the swing low in the mid $50,000 region, say $55,000 is a good candidate for a swing of this lower low structure. But any closures below 56,500, and I would be targeting the next big area over here. Now, this is the $53,000 weekly swing high from September of 2021 down to the weekly closing highs from October and December of 2021, respectively. Bitcoin previously, back in February of this year, found this area as resistance and then again as support. This would be the next likely candidate to get tagged anywhere below the mid $50,000 regions down to $53,000 and $50,000 respectively. Now, to the upside, Bitcoin does need to get back above this wick high here. Again, that is this first real big lower high of this downtrending structure here at this 67,272. Back above there and the current two spike highs of this bearish move down. And I would start to look for a run back to the daily basis band somewhere around 68 to 68.2, all the way up to this November of 2021. Of course, this was the prior cycle high at $69,000. Above there, I'd look to this next high of this was a swing high. So we had a swing low to a swing high here at around 70,200 by the upper first standard deviation, which is kind of giving it a zone of 69,800 to 70,200. And then above there, the close opens on this high of the prior move up. So the trend changed from downtrend to uptrend. The closing highs up here is coming in at 71.5 by the upper second standard deviation to $72,000 by these two double top wick highs up here above there. And I'm looking for, basically $73,000 over here to 73,835. That is the upper third to the all-time high there. Now, if we were to see this, hold the April of 2021 $65,000 area on a close specifically, where the lower second is, then it does start crawling back above $70,000 and push for the highs again above the all-time high at 73,835. I'd be looking for a zone initially at around 73 to 75, 75 to 78, 78 to 80, and then mid to low 80s from there. And then we come back to it for some deeper targets. Now, I will show a little bit more of that in some of the longer form videos. I might do a longer video tomorrow to kind of give you an idea of potential upside above the all-time high and the areas of interest up there. Now, if we were to, kind of dissect this structure a little bit more simply as well, we can take the monthly and weekly resistances off here. Where is Bitcoin, rejecting from? It is this first big lower high on the daily here. So we had these lower lows, lower high. So we had this little short-term uptrending structure here after the big impulse up. We had the big higher low here. We had a lower high, higher low, higher high. And then, price came down to that $60,000 and into the $59,000 area. Got that nice lower high there at 67,272. Pumped up, found this area as resistance over here. And then we saw the uptrend after this downtrend to uptrend reversal. We saw the uptrend trying to hold that area as support. After failing it, what is it doing? It's rejecting that area. So the most likely continuation area to pay attention to right now is this $64,000 lower high prior to the higher low trend change. So in this case, $64,000 to the top side of these candles here at that higher low at around 63. Fair game by that lower third. Anywhere below there, and it is, eyes on, like I said, that $62.5 to $61,000 by that monthly area. Anywhere below that higher low of the uptrend there, the first higher low of the uptrend, and we're looking at a run of the lows again. So this is pretty easy to identify even when kind of taking into account some of this local structure overhead that was the criteria that we're using to define at the highs if Bitcoin was going to be able to hold the highs. And that was this big move down towards the daily basis. This was our red zone on some of the lower term time frames. Once this area was lost, next big area, that's 67,272. Once, and it rejected these areas, including the green overhead zone, which was the high side, the lows on the high here. So the lows of the candles on the high here, rejected that area all in one go. That was the FOMC day, I believe. And then start closing below that 67,272 and then move down. So next big area. By the way, there is an order block right here all the way down to the wick low that was just being spiked at 64.5 here. So there is another daily order block here from the move on the way up here. So, could it hold 64.5 as long as it's closing above $65,000, which is, threatening to close, threatening to keep trading below. More than likely, even if it's intraday, it could hit $64,000 and below. As long as it's closing above $64,000 and then recovering these wicks at 65, then it has a chance to try and set up for a reversal. Now, the daily Stochastic momentum indicator has updated to 66,100. So any closes above there, and we would start to see a momentum shift. That would only be the etchings. We would need to see follow through in the next daily close. That'd be basically holding wherever the lower low is on the daily. The 12-hour is the next thing to pay attention to. We did get the cross to the upside here. Very, very weak, though. The lower term timeframes are telling you that this was going to fail. 65, 858. So in this case, any closes in the next 12-hour candle above 65,900 would start to turn that back to the upside, though. And 12-hour, you can see where that big overhead resistance is going to come in again, right here at the highs at that 67.2 to 3 area. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about some of the bearishness that I'm seeing in terms of, I wouldn't necessarily call them technical analysts, because many of the people that are calling out some of the crazy downside numbers are not, in fact, technical analysts, but they are just commentators on the market. So I do want to talk a little bit about production costs. I have touched on this a few times here in live streams and in some longer form videos, but I did want to point out that the production cost of Bitcoin right now, the absolute floor, this is the lowest price to produce a Bitcoin, which is basically just accounting for electricity, is at $60,000. And trust me, there's many, many mining operations that are not running floor costs that low. So 60K is very rarely, it's very rare, I should say, that you will see Bitcoin even around its production cost for an extended period of time, at least the very low end of it. It's usually very short stints, and it's even rarer that you will see it close below. And I do mention close below. We do see wicks below during bear markets and the big rundown. You will see some wicks below every once in a while. Those usually mark really good opportunities. And then the only times that we see closes below typically are going to be in the absolute bear market bottoms or just post-halving. So I do have two examples to quickly show you, as this is a quick take. The example here is from the absolute bear market bottom. We saw Bitcoin close below production cost here. And in this case, that's where the $15,500 came in on spot price action. There was really only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 closes underneath, and about 8 or 9 total dailies where it traded beneath the production cost. And now, typically, when I have friends and family that aren't into the markets or technical analysis, which most aren't, they ask me, when should I get in? When should I of course, not take financial advice, but when should I be looking at the market? And I typically have mentioned in and around the production cost, either in and around the very top side of it, if price is floating around the top here, like it did for quite a while, on the lows here, and then even going sideways in and around some of the areas that were spiked. You see that production cost did dip here. This is because of difficulty adjustments down, which, by the way, Bitcoin hasn't had too many of those right now. But it closed below and did not close below again. That was a beautiful opportunity, obviously, back here from November of 2022. So, and the next time that I will typically tell them, of course, not financial advice, but tell them to look at the markets would be just post-halving, unless I'm managing their portfolio, of course. We did see that, now this isn't going to be, this indicator updates a little bit after post-halving, after it can collect some data, a couple weeks of data. So Bitcoin did actually get right around and below its production cost just post-halving. And, we really only saw a couple of days again where it closed in and around the basement cost, or the lowest cost to produce Bitcoin here. And then a couple of actual closures below. So, those 2 times in 4 years offered up some beautiful opportunities if you're paying attention to these markets. So that is to say, where is Bitcoin right now? Well, Bitcoin, of course, is at a production cost of around $60,000. If it were to dip below, it could dip below pretty substantially, but you might recall that I just called out an area earlier between $50,000 and $53,000. That would actually be the production cost high down here. $50,000 to around $53,000 is, would be a fair game area, of course, if that 56,500 does fail, and mid $50,000, if it's not just a swing below at 55 or so. then that would be fair game. And of course, anywhere down below production cost, I think is, of course, this is not financial advice. I think that is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. So those that are calling for some insane, absolutely insane downside targets, I think are a little off kilter, and maybe don't know what they're talking about. But yeah, that's what I'm going to leave you with today. You all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and actually, no, hey, hold on. We just tried to stop this, and I didn't look at the weekly. We do need to look at the weekly. So let's wrap this up by looking at the weekly. Let's go ahead and call out one of the big weekly areas that is right below price action here. It is looking as though Bitcoin wants to do what? Test that $64,000 area. This would be the top side close open here from the candle that pushed up from that 56.5 here that was setting that weekly low. We see the basis band is coming in at $64,000. We see the lower first standard deviation is above that wick low. Now that is something we do want to see. I will revisit the longer term in the long form video as well. But this is, this is nice expansion to compression. We now have very low volatility. I will tell you on a weekly basis, probably want to see Bitcoin holding up above $64,000, but a swing of the lows, definitely not out of the question from a volatility standpoint within this cool down. So that will do it for the for today's video. And I will catch up with you on some of the longer term timeframes tomorrow. We'll take a look at some other interesting things happening on the medium term timeframes as we do have some closures coming in and some big closes that came in over the weekend as well that we'll discuss. You have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening, no matter where you are in the world. Please trade safe. And of course, as always, stay safe. With all of that being said, Landy out.